Yo, what's up, guys? Today, we have a cool conversation with Adit Jain. He has a company that he and his two other friends have started and have scaled to over 400 people. Super impressive company, super impressive founders. I learned a lot. I think you guys will too. It's with Adit Jain of Leena.ai. And go send him a shout out. Find them on LinkedIn, find them on the interwebs, because I think you guys will like this one. Okay, awesome, man. So,
Absolutely, Teja.
tell me a little bit about yourself, man. How'd you kind of get into building your company, entrepreneurship? Like, what's your background?
There are three founders of Leena.ai. Mayank, Anand, and myself. We've known each other for the last 13 years now. So it's been quite a crazy journey. We were in the same wing in IIT Delhi. So it was like, wing in a hostel means like, it's like IITs have these hostels where people generally put in, and they're like, very old school, very limited amenities there. It's not probably the best of places, but you make the best friendships for life, right? And that's where, I became friends with these guys. We used to do a lot of projects together. We took a lot of courses together. And, over a period of 4 years, we kind of had that friendship and that trust in each other's abilities and how we complemented each other, that we said, while we had great job offers, we said, let's just try and, do something of our own.
Yeah,
We had to go and convince one of the parents.
of
Because
course.
in India, you still have to do that, right? And I remember how we begged.
So that's so interesting. Yeah, because, in our culture, it's like you kind of become a doctor and something very consistent that you can kind of build a family very easily through. So what was that process like? Like, what was the pitch that you made to convince somebody?
So one of the things that, IITs provide you is a good safety net, right?
Right.
So you can say that, hey, if you're going to fail in 6 months, probably you will have a job waiting. So I think that's probably, and because, you said it rightly, right? So while we were chatting, you said that, India is growing. So
Right.
for good people, there's so many opportunities that is just crazy, right? Even in this downturn that the US, North America, and Europe is, Indian engineers are still getting 5 offers each.
Right.
So, we had that safety net, that confidence, and after that, it's just begging, right?
So in your family, or like, let's say in the founders' families, is there like a history of entrepreneurship, or are you kind of the first generation of entrepreneurs?
So my dad has run his own company, a software company, for like 15 years, right? So
Okay.
he is, yeah. So for me, it was easy for me, right? I had it easy. For the
Yeah.
other two, it was one's parents are doctors, the other ones, had a government job, so they had it tough. Yeah, so we had to convince them a lot.
Got it. Did your dad help, or was it mostly just like you were just like, we have to figure out how to do this?
So it did not come to that. I'd say if it would have taken much more time or effort, then maybe we would have involved him. But yeah, their parents also agreed. I think I'd say fairly easily.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm sure you're persuasive, and
Yeah.
like there's a positive role model there. So it's like cool to see that, hey, okay, there's going to be some guidance. Okay, so that's awesome. So IIT, but then you guys went to YC, got tier 1 investment from Bessemer Venture Partners. So how did you guys get connected to basically get to like the most prestigious set of financiers in the US? That's so cool.
2015, when we completed our undergrad, we loved AI, right? Because we had done some courses and projects in face recognition, in natural language processing, automatic content summarization, right?
Right.
So we were like, we wanted to do something in AI for sure. So we decided to kind of explore NLP. And at that time, Facebook just released their API for, chatbots. So that was pretty interesting, because we thought, okay, with AI and with this platform which people can access, it kind of changes things. And I think at the same time, Telegram had also opened their APIs, right? So we thought, this makes total sense in terms of, allowing customer support automation, marketing, sales, you can just do things. So the WeChat thing in China could actually hit the other parts of the world as well, right? So we said, okay, let's build a platform. It's currently, it's still alive. It's called Chatteron. So Chatteron is a horizontal platform that enables anyone to create chatbots without writing a single line of code. So it's like, you can come in, it's a DIY platform, and you can, build a website, Facebook Messenger or Twitter chatbot for customer support, marketing, or sales automation, like without any coding or very little API, usage, but like almost zero coding, right?
That's cool.
So that's where we started off. That kind of blew up completely. It went from zero to over 30,000 developers, companies, people using it to build chatbots for their, different portals. And, that was amazing. It was encouraging, wide ranging use cases. We had a freemium model from a subscription standpoint. So the problem was that we were charging after a particular chatbot had over 10,000 messages processed, right?
Yeah.
And, it's crazy, Teja, but out of 30,000, only 20 people ended up paying us, right?
Yes. I see. Yeah.
So, now this is a huge problem because in 2 years, we had scaled well, but we were not able to monetize. And we started to diagnose on what's happening. And we realized, Teja, we had made the classic rookie entrepreneurship mistake of trying to be everything for everyone, but ending up nothing for nobody, right?
Yes.
That's like the classicest, mistake you can make as a first-time entrepreneur.
Yes.
And we made it. The good thing is, when we looked at those 20 customers in detail, Teja, we realized that out of those 20, around 16 of them were actually using Chatteron to build internal HR and IT chatbots. And we were like, at that, we had zero professional experience, by the way, and nobody teaches you what they do in HR, what they do in IT in undergrad, anywhere across the world, right?
Yeah, you don't know what they are. You're just like, yeah, for sure.
And we were like, okay, what are these guys doing? People are like, they were requests like, okay, I want to access Adobe, Pro. What is my league balance? And I make this is crazy, right? So we called up those guys, all 16 of them, and we said, okay, why are you doing this? Right? And then, like 3 months in, we spent 3 months doing this, and we realized that the problem is access to information. So as organizations grow, there are so many different systems, people, applications, departments, that finding the right information to do your job is a huge time suck. That's essentially what we wanted to solve with Leena.ai, with our vision being building Jarvis for every employee in an enterprise. Right?
That's cool.
And we've stayed true to that, goal, to that vision ever since. We don't want to do customer support chatbots. We don't want to do marketing, sales chatbots. We only build employee-facing virtual assistants. That's what Leena.ai is, right? Post that, we went to YC in summer of 2018, raised a $2 million seed round after that. And then, 2019 was a great year of growth for us. 2020, even with COVID hitting, and it had its own silver lining for us, where we actually were able to see a lot of revenue growth because suddenly companies was remote, right? So supporting employees became really challenging remotely, right? Because you could have found an IT person and HR person like 2 desks away, but that's not happening now, right? So they had to automate. So we had that super growth happen, and at that time, we raised our Series A led by Greycroft. So it was an inbound. So one of the analysts at Greycroft, just wrote us an email. Yes. We happened to respond to it, and amazing. I think we are one of the few deals that ever happened with the cold reach outs from analysts, right?
Oh my gosh, were you surprised by that, or were you like?
Now I am. So by that time, at that time I didn't know that it's such a big thing that no deals happen. But right now, after speaking to so many people, I realize no deals happen via cold reach outs from analysts. But amazing job.
You made that person's career, probably. Like that is
Yes,
that will be a line in the resume for until that person becomes partner. So
hopefully.
that's so founded like maybe 2015, 16, had one product, made a second product that hit, went to YC, went, and got the seed and the series A. That's like really fast growth. And so right now your company is split San Francisco, California, and New Delhi.
Absolutely. So we have in the US, we have people all across the US. We have a heavy population in California, New York, Atlanta. We have people, and then we have other AEs and go to market folks across the US because those are extremely localized markets, right?
Yeah.
And they're like very close groups of buyers, the CIOs and CHRs, close groups of buyers. So you have to have people on the ground. And we do enterprise deals, we do large deals, right? So now, apart from that, we have development centers in India, in New Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore. But we also have go-to-market teams in Southeast Asia and in Europe and Middle East.
When you think about kind of business climates, is operating in these different markets, does that present unique challenges, or is it all pretty straightforward and you guys have compliance with all that stuff set up?
No, absolutely. You're bang on target. Like I told you, we raised our Series A and then we raised our Series B next year. So we raised our Series B in 2021, 30 million euros.
Oh, wow.
Led by Bessemer. And we started opening geographies after that. So we opened Europe and Middle East after that. And, I was shocked because, like the completely different culture, especially Middle East is a completely different culture.
Yes.
And for you to go in and because you have to speak their tone, their voice, their language. You have to understand their culture when you're going into sell. And, I'll be honest, it's been an amazing, I've spent close to around 3 months over the last 2 years in the Middle East. And, I can tell you, I know much more about their culture, and how it has evolved over the last 200 odd years. And, how do you actually go and sell to them, but by being there, but you cannot do that without, being there.
That's so interesting. So what's some of the idiosyncrasies? Like how do you have to kind of position things in the Middle East?
Absolutely. Language. So Arabic is an extremely important language. If you're building a solution, if you're a company, you're a startup, you want customers in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi, in KSA, in Qatar, you need to have Arabic in the product. You need to have Arabic speakers who are doing sales, business development, or customer success.
Wow. Okay. And so will you guys even like adjust the marketing site to basically be in Arabic? So when they land it, wow. So not just the product. That's crazy. Okay.
Their holidays, their buying cycles, budgeting cycles, because, we do $500,000 deals, $1 million deals, $200,000 deals. So generally large ticket items, right? And the ones that typically get approved at the topmost levels, even CFOs, CEOs, right? So when you do these large deals, you realize that, you have to understand their process because every company is unique. Every region is unique, and within every region, every company is unique. And just soaking all of that information into your sales process, your product, your marketing everywhere is extremely important for long-term success.
So as like the sort of LLM space has matured and maybe hit like the consumer market over the past couple of years, how has that kind of impacted like your company and future outlook and opportunities for growth?
So, we got first introduced to LLMs with the word models. And of course, we were also, I don't know if you know this, but OpenAI, Sam Altman, actually kind of had the first group of testers trying out GPT-2, 2.5, something like that back in 2020, right? And, it was open only to YC companies to, come into.
Right.
So, and we are a YC company in this space. So we raised our hand and we got some access. So we've kind of known about this, this thing is coming from quite a while. We've been working on it ourselves as well from quite a while, right? And I think one of the biggest things that has happened, especially with ChatGPT, is I can tell you that the technology that you see here, of course, it's matured way much, matured way more than what it was even a year ago, right? For the final product, right? For the final experience that you see today with ChatGPT, right? But uh, it was able to do like good percentage, like 90% of what you see today, even a year ago, right?
Wow.
And at that time, when we used to, so we built our own. So we built our own LLM called the Work LM. It's a 7 billion parameter model that we've kind of built, and we kind of we used to show this to our customers back then, enterprise customers, that they'd shoo us away. They were like, okay, you know what? You can't be generating content. You can't be generating text on the fly in responses. This is some hokum, right? So, so now the good thing is with ChatGPT, nobody asks those questions, right? But yeah, but we've kind of known this is happening. This is gonna happen. But yeah, credit to the guys over at OpenAI, to kind of finally bring it in a way that people can use and appreciate the technology. So yeah, it's accelerated our business like crazy. To be very honest, the growth has been 3x, and I think especially with the backdrop of cost savings and efficiency plays across the US and Europe, because of the markets and high interest rates, it has been the perfect time for us, because people have more appreciation of the technology and they want to save costs. That's exactly what we do, right? We help you automate tons of queries that keep coming in and suck up people's time, doing same things again and again, so that they can spend that time in much more valuable things for the organization, right? So, IT help desk automation, HR help desk automation, finance help desk automation, many other use cases. Now we're able to do it, and it just sits well right now because everybody is talking cost saving and efficiencies, and everybody trusts the technology automatically. I don't need to get your trust. A year ago, on generative AI, you literally just say, this is what you're bullshitting, right? But now you it works. So like it's both of the things that have happened for us are amazing, and accelerated our business like crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I bet there's so much less education required now. It's
Yep.
like it's part of the overall understanding of, especially like I think non-technical buyers too. They're like, oh, okay, like we now have intuitively carved out some budget to do this
Yep.
and accelerate our business. That's really cool. When you think about kind of scaling your company and hiring and building your team, like how are you able to, like, you guys have AEs all across the US, probably go-to-market teams in Europe and the Middle East. Like, how do you make sure all these, engineers in India, how do you make sure all these cultures kind of are able to unify under like Leena.ai's company culture? Is that something that you think about?
No, absolutely, Teja. So there are a set of values that we have that are must-haves for people at Leena.ai, right? After those set of values, we are pretty flexible in terms of letting people do whatever they want, right? Because like, there's some things that we're not acceptable, that are not at all acceptable at Leena.ai. There's some things that are very much promoted at Leena.ai, and that you have to, do, like, respect your colleagues, right? For example. Right? So there's a list of things you do, there's a list of things that you don't do, which is a part of the values and culture statements at Leena.ai. So we make sure that those are met. After that, we are open and appreciative of everything that anyone wants. So, people in the Middle East, are people in Europe, are people in the US, are people in Southeast Asia. All of them have different backgrounds, cultures, preferences, and we are open to everything. But the basic things of Leena, like, don't be an asshole, right? Is yeah.
I feel like maybe that's intuitive, but to me that seems not intuitive. Like, how did you come to that approach? Is that something you just grew up with, being very tolerant, or?
So the basic fundamentals of who we want to work with. So, we realized, and this has kind of changed because, I think the culture of the organization is very malleable and it changes over time, right? So when you're small, it's a family, it's a group of friends, family, or, want to do something big and all of that, right? and then you get 50 people, and then suddenly it stops. Still a family, but a larger extended family, and then
Yes.
you go to, and then basically aunts and uncles now. Probably not that tolerant, and then 150, 200, 300, 400, which we are right now. You there have to be some set of things that we know make the world a better place, right? So for example, we know that we don't want to, if you're going to spend 12 hours working, or 10 hours working, or 8 hours working, however number of, I work 12 hours, somebody might work 7 hours, whatever. But whatever number of hours you spend working at Leena.ai, you need to ensure that you're enjoying it, right?
Well,
And our basic set of values say that if people don't enjoy working with assholes, right?
I,
So the values are basically making sure that everybody enjoys their time and they want to spend time here, right? That's the set. That's it. It's not like a long list of 20 things. It's like three things on both sides, that the do's and don'ts. That's it, right?
yeah,
And everything else we're pretty accommodative of as an organization.
that's cool. So okay, so you work a lot, like 12 hours a day,
Yeah,
probably 6-7 days a week. Is that
absolutely.
okay? How do you feel if somebody in your organization doesn't work that much? Are you okay with that? Like, how do you?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah, we have 400 plus people at this point. Like, I understand and respect the fact that, people, everybody does not, want to just make or spend 14 hours with their colleagues or 12 hours with their colleagues. And that's completely okay.
were you like that in the early days? Like,
No, no, not at all. So when we were 20 people, I was not like this at all.
really? So okay, you're probably like, hey, if you're not grinding 12 hours a day, like, what are you doing? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%. Like, I used to hold myself to 14, 15 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then everyone around me to a very, very high bar as well. The first 2 years, right? And then after, now we've grown a lot, right? And at different stages, different things work, and and are needed for the organization. So leaders, founders, everyone has to change and understand that as you grow.
That's such a mature outlook. Like, how did you sort of develop that over time? Like, how did you realize, okay, we need to have a different approach? I can't just grind everybody 12, 14 hours a day. Like, how did you kind of realize that?
No, absolutely. One thing that I'm really proud of, and one thing that we I think we do well at Leena.ai at least, is uh, we have strong opinions, but very loosely held, right? So let's say we are growing, we are at that 100, 150 people mark, and we are asking people to grind, and people are, suddenly there's high attrition. You have that, people talking about burnout and all of that. So once it happens once in the surveys, it happens twice, and then you have to take a hard look. You cannot ignore things like these. And I think then you study the market, you understand what other people did, what other successful companies did throughout their journey. And what I've realized is, nobody can ever, keep doing this. You can't have all of your 400 people grinding, right? So,
Yeah.
once you realize that and you understand that, then it's fine, right? So, I think so. We kind of just actually pretty interesting thing, and I'd love for you to hear it, and other people to hear it as well. So, what we at Leena believe in is that if two people with the same goal, two intelligent people with the same goal, without egos, come to a conversation to make a decision, it is impossible that they arrive at different conclusions.
Uh,
You have to say there are two important things. You have to say it without egos, and you have to say with the same goal. So the goal has to be the same, which is probably in this case take Leena forward, and and you have to do it without your ego. It does not matter whose idea is this, who's gonna benefit, not benefit, whatever it is, right? If you take those two things and you do them right in every decision, you'll always arrive at the right one.
that's
The
top.
decision might even be that, hey, both the ideas are great.
Right.
Let's do a let's do an A/B test, right?
Right.
Decision might even be that, but I'm saying you'll always arrive at the right decision. So I think this has served us well, and this continues to serve us well. So maybe this is something for the listeners to also, ponder about and try and see if it works for them.
Yeah, totally. And it takes some of the pressure off of needing to find the right answer all the time and making
Yep.
sure that this is the way. Yeah, that's so cool. So do you believe in burnout personally, like for yourself, or do you not experience that?
I generally don't because I love what I do. I absolutely I would not change a thing in my life at all till now. So only nothing. I so that's why I just love what I do. So that's why the bads, the goods, the greats, everything. So uh, you know like I can keep doing this for another 10 years, and I won't complain. So, but I do realize that people need breaks, and that's completely all right.
Yeah. Have you thought about like why you personally don't need to, like, what about you makes you like able to sustain like a very high pace?
So I kind of trained myself, not knowingly, but unknowingly, kind of got trained on this. So if I look back for my JE preparation, for people who are listening and who are not from India, joint entrance exam. The JEE is an exam to get into IIT's prestigious technology institute. So in India, so there's like a million people who take that exam, and you know, like you have acceptance rate over 0.1%, something like that.
Yeah.
So like it's extremely competitive. It's extremely tough to get in. Now the fun fact here is my dad is from IIT Delhi, and when your dad is from IIT Delhi, it, Teja, what happens to the kids.
Yes.
So in 10th standard, after I complete my 10th standard, 11th and 12th standards, or basically high school, was all about cracking that exam, right? And I'm not joking. I used to study 14 hours a day flat for like 600 days. I'm not joking. I studied 14 to 16 hours a day every freaking day for more than 600 odd days. Yeah.
That's and then you probably got like a positive reinforcement because you went to IIT, and so you're like, okay, this is the way like to do it. Like, if I want to do anything, I have to do this.
Yep.
This one.
So that's exactly what what you just said is exactly what I just told someone like 2 hours ago, right? Well, after you put in that much amount of effort and it works, the positive reinforcement, just makes you understand that if you put your heart to it, you do whatever you need to get done. So, or whatever you get whatever you want. So, that was great positive reinforcement, and that's why I kind of got trained on this.
Yeah, totally. Do you have any like kind of personal habits? Do you take care of health, things like that, or do you feel like the work itself kind of brings you energy and sustains you to do more?
The work does sustain me. It gives me energy and sustain me. But yeah, I do like to. So one thing I've realized, I'm not a gym kind of a person. I'm also not a running kind of a person. But I like to take up sports wherever I can, whatever I can, right? So, so be it football, be it cricket, squash. These are some things I like, and of course, you can't do a lot of these when you're working 12, 14 hours a day. So you kind of just figure out how to put them in your schedule whenever and however much you can, and you run with that.
That's awesome, man. Your parents must be like so proud of you. This is like, I'm sure they've told you, but our parents, they don't say that sort of things to
yeah.
Yeah, it's just the thing. So that's so cool. Do you keep in touch with your IIT classmates who maybe didn't go the entrepreneurship route, and do you have an opportunity to work with them at Leena.ai, maybe hire them and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so a lot of IIT folks are actually working with Leena.ai. I think they're entrepreneurs here at Leena.ai, because our VP of engineering is essentially our batchmate from IIT.
Yeah.
He actually started his own company with another person who's also leading one of our products. And, they were way ahead of their time in their startup. They're doing something in VR analytics, right? Of course,
Wow.
VR did not take off, so VR analytics did not take off,
Right.
right? So they joined forces with us back then. And of course, they hold a lot of equity in like ESOPs and Leena.ai as well. So, I think they're equal to us. They're entrepreneurs, and they have a good amount of say in Leena.ai and what we do here. So,
That's
yeah,
that's
and one of my juniors leads one of our regional sales teams as well. So we have a lot of IT folks doing their own entrepreneurial journeys with us at Leena.ai itself.
That's cool. Yeah. So like, so how do you create enough opportunity at Leena AI to give, these entrepreneurial, innovative minded folks enough like kind of white space to go and create?
I think what we do well at Leena.ai is align goals. Like, okay, we need to build this product, for example, just making an example. But and this is or wait, we align goals, which means we say we need to solve this problem for the customer. This is what the customers are saying, right? How can we solve it? Can we solve it? Should we solve it? Right? And once we come to the fact that yes, should we solve it? Yes, that we should be solving this. After that, it's up to them, the product engineering team to decide how. Then we don't get in and we always don't try and dictate. No, this is the product that you're gonna build, right? Then you can do whatever you need to do, or brainstorm, go research on the internet, do whatever you need, go talk to more customers, create prototypes. We give them a lot of freedom to do whatever they think is right. Of course, it should meet the end goal of solving the customer's problem.
Well, so when you guys think about like, your seed round, your Series A, your Series B, typically that's preceded by like some revenue growth. But now you're then ramping your expenses aggressively, right? Do you, as an entrepreneur, probably somebody that has, I would say, maybe a thrifty and frugal mentality initially, how did you kind of shift to being venture-backed CEO? Was that scary at all?
No, absolutely. I think we were extremely EBITDA positive before we did our, Series A, right? We ran the company almost like that from Series A through Series B because it was like a 10 months difference between October 2020 is when we did our Series A, June 2021 we did our Series B, right? Not even 10 months, less than that, right? 8 months. So, and we had actually grown our revenue 3x between the time period,
Wow.
right? So, I think there was definitely a shift because we suddenly had $40 million in the bank. So, but I do think that, and for people who are going to do this for the first time, right? It's important to know that when you get that much amount of capital, you shift your mind and you kind of run towards the other end of the pendulum where you probably start spending much more money, right, than needed. I think it's important to be very, very frugal and run the business like that, at least for a few quarters after you do any large round, because it kind of keeps you grounded. It keeps you close to the reality, right? And especially in an up market like 2021, 2022, early 2022, it's easy to get carried away that, you're going to get, anyway, everyone is raising money. So even if you grow 1x you not do 110% NRR, you're going to get money, right? So you kind of forget that, you should focus on the EBITDA positiveness. You should focus on profitability. You should focus on fast growth, yes, but with those profitability metrics in mind, right? So I think for the people who are going to do this for the first time, you should raise money. There's no question about it, right? If you want to take a large chunk of a big market, you should need cash from outside.
Right.
But, always remember that, growth has to be coupled with the profitability mindset. You don't need to be profitable. I'm not saying you have to be profitable from day one, but, you have to kind of have that in the mind so that you're at least tracking, you're at least talking about it every month with the board and with everybody in the team. And everybody knows that that's important. And we have to look at that because that will itself, help you spend 20-25% lesser and keep the business much healthier. One of the things that I've realized from my peer group, and thankfully we got saved at Leena because we were more frugal than others, to be honest. But one thing that happened with a lot of my friends who raised a lot of money, 100 million, 150 million, is the money kind of changes your frugality, or you forget the frugality and you start spending, and you go to such a high burn that it's tough to come back down when you have a very small runway left at the end of it, right? So I think people should just be like, people who are going to do this for the first time should keep that in mind, and then always have that profitability or EBITDA number in front of you, so that you know that you should scale, you should spend money, you should hire people, you should scale 100%. But keep that number in mind while doing all of this.
What's something that you like? What are a couple of things rather that you wish you kind of knew maybe back in 2016, 2015 when you guys went to YC that you now understand today?
One thing that I wish I knew back then was definitely the fact that I'll need to spend more and more of my time in people management and hiring, right? And then leaders will have to do that. Like easily, when I'm telling you this easily, that culture needs to change as you grow, right? If I knew that 5-6 years ago, and if I knew that hiring is going to take up a lot of time, and you should keep talking to people all the time to find the best folks, I think when that time comes for the transition, because you certainly raise around and you'll have to, of course, hire a few folks, right? What happens is it takes time to switch gears, right? It takes time to switch gears, and nobody likes interviews, taking too many interviews, right? I hate taking interviews. So I don't hate it, but like if they become more than 3 a day, then I don't like it, right? And I think that's extremely important from an understanding perspective. You know that you have to spend this much amount of time with people, solving their problems, and in hiring. For engineers specifically, it seems like a time suck when they start doing it, but it is going to take time as you grow as a company.
Hiring is so important, and it just takes time. But you get like 2 interviews in, and you're like, "Fuck it, like let's just do it." That's how I am. It's
absolutely. And so what you lose patience, and you have bad hires.
Yes,
and they're not culturally fit. Sometimes they're not even. And when you do blitz scaling, when you do a large round and then you want to hire like 200 people, there's so many wrong hires, and we've done that. Like I'll be honest, like we've made bad hires ourselves at Leena.ai, and just because people were they're taking 8 interviews a day.
Yes, totally. You just get fatigued.
Yep.
You're not picking up on tells that you would if you're doing 1 interview a day, maybe 2. Yeah, that's totally true. Awesome, man. Well, dude, thank you so much for your time. This was a great conversation. And, we just did our Series A last year. So for me, I'm like learning so much from this conversation. So it's been awesome.
Absolutely, Teja. Thank you so much for having me, and hope this was useful.
Where can people find you and your company on the internet? You're going to get a lot of info, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. And you can find me on LinkedIn. I go with my name, Adit Jain, and you can just put in Adit Jain Leena.ai, and you'll find me on LinkedIn. And our website is, of course, www.leena.ai.
Adit, next time I'm in Delhi, hopefully soon, I got to come find you guys, and maybe we'll go hiking in the Himalayas. If you can get a spare day or a weekend, I'd love to do that.
Or in California.
Or in California. Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Awesome.
Thanks for listening to the Frontier Podcast powered by Gun.io. We drop 2 episodes per week, so if you like this episode, be sure to subscribe on your platform of choice and come hang out with us again next week and bring all your internet friends. If you have questions or recommendations, just shoot us a Twitter DM at The Frontier Pod, and we'll see you next week.
Edit it, cut things up, chop it up, that sort of thing, so you can be casual.
Perfect.